So Spider-Man is no longer in the MCU. At least for the moment. So I figured I'd give my 2 cents on the issue. You know who didn't have 2 cents? Peter Parker and the Amazing Spider-Man. He didn't have 2 cents for his chocolate milk, and it led to Uncle Ben being shot.
You're holding up my line.
I don't have 2 cents. 2 cents. We're talking about 2 cents.
The reason Spider-Man won't be in the MCU is because Sony and Disney couldn't come to an agreement. This is a shame since I really enjoyed MCU Spider-Man. Tom Holland is great in the role. He plays Spider-Man and Peter Parker very well. I'm more of a fan of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, but I still really like MCU Spider-Man. I really liked what Marvel Studios was doing with the character. There were some radical changes. One was that Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, was Peter Parker's superhero mentor. I liked that change. I loved how Spider-Man was introduced in Civil War. I was hyped when I saw him in the trailer. The films were great. Spider-Man could have been the new face of the MCU. People really wanted this. Far From Home built him up as being the next Iron Man. But he wasn't gonna be the next Iron Man. He was gonna be Spider-Man. He would have been one of the stars of Avengers 5. He could have been Marvel's flagship hero. And he is Marvel's flagship hero. The only reason Iron Man became popular was because Kevin Feige decided to use all the characters that Marvel still owned. Because Marvel sold the rights to a lot of their popular characters. Anyway, Spider-Man is out of the MCU. Why did this happen? Well, Marvel wanted a 50-50 deal with Sony instead of the 5% first dollar gross they get from Spidey solo flicks. It's a shame that behind the scenes disputes will likely lead to Sony possibly ruining yet another Spider-Man film series. First they could count to 3, and they messed up the 3rd time. Then they couldn't count to 3, and now apparently it is rumored that there will be 2 more films planned, with Jon Watts directing and Tom Holland starring in again. But they won't be connected to the MCU. Kevin Feige is out. He helped Sony get out of the disaster that was The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Kevin even sent Amy notes for the movie, but I'm pretty sure Sony didn't take any of his feedback. There is an entire Reddit post detailing what was leaked. I'll put it in the video description. Now Amy Pascal isn't as involved with Sony, but she still is involved with Spider-Man. Tom Rothman is in charge of Sony's films. It was likely Kevin and Tom who had the falling out. Amy did hint at Spider-Man leaving Marvel back when Homecoming was coming out. I can't find the interview, but I do know that she said it. So, who's in the wrong? Both parties in a sense. Things were going smoothly at first, but their deal was pretty simple. Sony gets Spidey solo film money, while Disney gets money from any film that isn't a Spider-Man solo film, but that still features the character. But now, Disney wanted 50-50 when things were going pretty smoothly beforehand. It makes sense though, since Spider-Man Far From Home is the highest grossing Spider-Man film of all time. I guess Disney got greedy. They wanted a bigger slice of the pie. It's a shame that Spider-Man won't be in the MCU anymore, especially after the ending of Far From Home, where Spider-Man's secret identity was revealed to the world. I don't know what will happen next. I know that Tom Holland was happy being a part of the MCU. He is probably disappointed with Sony and Marvel's falling out, but he signed on for 2 more films. These films will be weird. Disney and Sony essentially went through a divorce. Spider-Man will be far from Marvel Studios. He will stay with Sony. He will be isolated from the MCU. Disney Marvel will not have custody rights of Spider-Man. The Spider-Man is essentially never gonna see Papa Marvel again. He's with Mother Sony now. Far From Home built up Spider-Man as an Avenger. His entire arc was leading to him becoming an Avenger. In Infinity War, he died. In Endgame, he was resurrected and witnessed his mentor Tony die. In Far From Home, he finally defeated a villain on his own without Iron Man's help. He wasn't Spider-Boy anymore, he was finally Spider-Man. And it's a shame that this dispute happened, because it would have been great to see Spider-Man as an Avenger. It would have been so great, but yeah, it's a shame that this behind-the-scenes politics had to ruin that experience. On the bright side, there will be more Into the Spider-Verse films. Phil Lord and Chris Miller are contracted with Sony to create TV shows set in the Spider-Man universe. There will be plenty of good Spider-Man films and TV shows that will be coming out. Disney's animated Spider-Man shows were never that good, while Sony's animated TV show version of Spider-Man was spectacular. Anyway, it's a shame that Spider-Man won't be in the MCU, but at the same time, there is plenty of media featuring the character to look forward to. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse would have never happened if the rights went back to Disney. Sony made some great films. They made two of the best live-action Spider-Man films of all time. But they also made two of the worst Spider-Man films of all time. Well, three, but I kind of like Spider-Man 3. I don't think it's the worst. But now Sony seems to have learned their lesson. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Like they should have cooperated with Marvel. But if that's not the case, hopefully they'll keep Tom Holland. These films will be weird without Marvel Studios, but I hope me and the fans will get used to it. There's just so many pros. There are some cons. There are quite a bit of cons to this dispute. But the pros are that Spider-Man will be in his own universe again. The villains won't be connected to Tony Stark anymore. And yeah, Spider-Man can appear in Venom. I know that Marvel Studios was against that. Now Spider-Man can appear in Venom. Hopefully Venom 2 is good, because the Venom movies need to be good. I liked Venom, but it was more of a guilty pleasure. But Venom 2 is going to be directed by Andy Serkis. He seems like a decent director. Anyway, hopefully Sony will treat Spider-Man better than they did before. Hopefully they're on their own now. They're not with Marvel Studios anymore. So hopefully they can treat Spider-Man and the source material with respect. I hope they don't reboot again, but there's a chance they might. So I hope the Spider-Man films will continue to be good. But it's a shame that Marvel Studios will no longer be involved. It's a shame that Spider-Man won't be in Avengers 5. Anyway, this has been ShadeX, and thanks for watching.